think you're just a normal person? In the Middle Ages, that might have been enough to get you tortured or burned at the stake. All it took was a cat, a bad harvest, or an angry neighbor, and suddenly you were a witch. The scariest part? You didn't even need to do anything wrong. So, would you survive the witch hunts? Let's find out. Witch hunts weren't just the stuff of dark legends or horror movies. They were real, brutal, and terrifyingly easy to fall into. Between the 15th and 18th centuries, thousands of people, mostly women, were accused, tortured, and executed across Europe and the American colonies. But here's the thing, the reasons were often absurd, superstitious, and deeply unfair. Today, we're diving into 10 totally normal things that could have gotten you branded a witch. Spoiler alert, survival wasn't in your favor. Let's go back in time and see how dangerous it was, just to be different. Imagine waking up in a small medieval village, somewhere in 16th century Europe. The air is thick with smoke from hearth fires and the whispers of suspicion. You go about your day, feeding your animals, helping a neighbor, maybe preparing a few herbal remedies your grandmother taught you. But by nightfall, someone knocks on your door, and just like that, you're accused of witchcraft. So, would you survive the witch hunts? Here are 10 reasons you probably wouldn't. First up, living alone. In the Middle Ages, especially for women, independence was dangerous. If you were unmarried, widowed, or simply preferred solitude, people might see you as suspicious. Who are you talking to when no one's around? Are those prayers or incantations? Solitude wasn't just peaceful, it could be deadly. Next, let's talk about animals. You know that adorable black cat that follows you everywhere? That might be enough to seal your fate. Animals, especially cats, toads, and birds, were often believed to be familiars, demonic companions given by the devil. Even if your pet just hunted mice, villagers might say it whispered to you at night. Then there's herbal knowledge. Imagine helping a neighbor with a headache using chamomile, or easing childbirth with sage and mugwort. Congratulations, you're now a suspected witch. Healing and midwifery, often the domain of women, blurred the line between folk wisdom and forbidden magic. If your remedy failed or even worked too well, someone might say you used dark powers. Old age wasn't safe either. Wrinkles, warts, missing teeth, these were seen as signs of corruption or evil. Elderly women, especially those who were poor or lived on the margins of society, were frequent targets. It didn't matter if you were kind or generous, just being different or unlucky was enough. And let's not forget natural disasters. A sudden hailstorm, a failed harvest, a cow that stopped producing milk, villagers needed someone to blame. If you had argued with a neighbor a week before the storm or refused to lend someone flour, you might find yourself accused. In a world without science, cause and effect were explained with superstition. Even your body could betray you. Witch hunters often searched for what they called the devil's mark, a mole, a birthmark, a freckle. They believed it was a spot where the devil had kissed or branded you. Entire trials were built around the discovery of a completely natural skin blemish. Now imagine you were beautiful or not beautiful enough. That's right, either could be a problem. An unusually attractive woman might be accused of seducing men with sorcery. An unattractive one might be viewed as monstrous or unnatural. Basically, unless you were perfectly average-looking and silent, you were in trouble. And speaking of silence, let's talk education. Could you read or write? If you were literate, especially as a woman, you might be accused of dealing with forbidden knowledge or reading magical texts. Literacy was rare, and those who possessed it were often viewed with suspicion, especially if they didn't hold a religious title. Outspoken, opinionated, challenged authority, that could get you killed. Women who dared to question church doctrine, speak out in court, or publicly oppose a man's decision were labeled dangerous. Witches were seen as disruptors of the social order, and being assertive was often misread as being bewitched. And finally, the scariest part, none of this had to be true. All it took was one jealous neighbor, a false accusation, A misunderstanding. Maybe someone wanted your land, envied your family, or just didn't like you. The accusation alone could be a death sentence. Trials were often rigged, torture was common, confessions were extracted through pain or fear, and innocence? It rarely mattered.
So, would you survive the witch hunts? If you've ever lived alone, loved animals, practiced natural healing, spoken your mind, or just been a little different, chances are you wouldn't. Not because you were a witch, but because they needed someone to blame.
And in the Middle Ages, that someone could be anyone. Even you.
So, would you have survived the witch hunts? If you've ever spoken up, helped someone heal, kept a black cat, or just lived life on your own terms, the answer is probably no. The truth is, the witch hunts weren't really about magic. They were about fear, control, and punishing those who didn't fit the mold. Thankfully, we've come a long way, but the echoes of that fear still live in how we treat people who challenge the norm.
If this made you think, drop a comment below. Would you have made it out alive? Hit like if you're grateful to be living in modern times, and subscribe for more deep dives into the darker corners of history. Until next time, stay curious and maybe keep an eye on your cat.